So here's our picker component. Now, when the user taps on this component, we should display a modal box with a list of items to choose from. In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to display a modal box. We'll talk about displaying the list of items in the next lesson. So first, we should wrap everything with a touchable component so we can handle the onPress event. That is very easy. We have done that many times before. So in this case, I'm going to wrap this with a touchable without feedback because I think that makes more sense in this context. Because when we tap on a picker, the modal should appear. So I don't want to have a separate visual effect for tapping. Now, once again, we have two implementations of this component. One implementation is in React Native Gesture Handler. The other is in React Native. So let's import that. Now, let's put this at the end. Okay, so here's our touchable component. Let's handle the onPress event. At this point, we want to show a modal. Showing a modal is super easy. After this touchable component, we add a modal component. This component is defined in React Native. And in this case, VS Code can automatically import this. So let's go with that. Now this component has a prop called visible. We bind this to a Boolean state variable. So if you set it to true, the modal will be visible. If you set it to false, the modal will disappear. Now, before we do that, note that we have a compilation error here. Because we are returning two components from our function component, we are returning a modal and a touchable without feedback. As you know, in React, we can only return a single component, not multiple components. So we need to wrap these two components, this touchable and the modal, inside a React fragment, like this. Now the compilation error is gone. So let's save the changes. The code is perfectly reformatted. We can also simplify this code. So instead of explicitly typing react.fragment, we can type an empty pair of angle brackets. This makes our code a little bit cleaner. So let's remove react.fragment over here. Good. Now I want to bind this to a Boolean state variable. So we have to use the state hook to declare a state variable. So we call useState. We initialize our variable to false. Now we destructure this array. We call our variable modal visible, and the function to update it, set modal visible. All our building blocks are ready. Now we have to combine them. So when we tap on this touchable component, in this function, we call set modal visible and give it true. This will make the modal appear. Now, here we bind visible to modal visible. I also like to apply a nice animation here. So we can set animation type to one of these values, slide, none, and fade. I'm going to use slide. You'll see that in a second. Now in this modal, I'm going to add a button. This is just a regular React Native button, purely for testing. With this button, we're going to close the modal. So we set its title to close. Here we handle the onPress event. And in this function, we call set modal visible and give it false. Now let's test our implementation. So save the changes. Take a look. We tap on this. Our modal appeared, but the close button is behind the notch on iPhone. So to solve this problem, let's wrap this button with a screen component. So screen. I don't know why VS Code doesn't like my screen component. So auto importing doesn't work here. So we go to the top and manually import the screen component from the current folder. Okay, let's try it one more time. Now the close button is here. Let's tap it. The modal disappeared. Let's try it one more time. So when I tap on this, the modal will slide from the bottom of the screen. Take a look. Here's the slide effect. Okay, so our modal is working. Next, we're going to display the list of picker items.